You know what dawns on me? I never did a video on Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, or Curse of the Moon. Why didn't I? They're great games. They're awesome. Well, I suppose I had a normal rotation of movie reviews. Didn't feel like I had to. But now there's no normal rotation of movie reviews, so I should talk about Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon too, which I totally should have done for Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, and Ritual of the Night. So Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is a sequel to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I feel like I'm going to have to do a history lesson. That's another reason I should have just talked about the first games. I wouldn't have to do the history lesson in the review for the second game. But I digress. So legendary game maker Koji Igarashi was like, I want to make another Castlevania game, but Konami owns the rights to Castlevania, so I can't make a Castlevania game. So I need to make a not Castlevania game that feels like Castlevania, but it's totally not Castlevania. But it's totally Castlevania, but not Castlevania. So we put that up on Kickstarter, and everyone was like, take my money. So as this Kickstarter was for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which is a total throwback to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it hit a tier in which now they're gonna make an 8-bit spin-off game. That is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. People loved that so much, they were like, all right, well, here's a sequel. And such a grand sequel it is. It's really strange that this 8-bit spin-off that was just, you know, an extra thing because they hit that tier in the Kickstarter is every bit as enjoyable for me. It's not as in-depth as Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, but in its own way is completely fulfilling. So Curse of the Moon 2 revolves around Zangetsu, and he has a couple of new friends now. Dominique, she wields a spear. She also kind of acts as a healer. Robert, he's the sharpshooter. He's also the clothy one. Like in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, Grumpy Gandalf, he was the clothy. But he also had no distance. Well, I mean, he had pretty awesome spells, but if you're just going from melee, yeah, no distance. So in this game, Clothy Robert, he's a sharpshooter, so he has guns, so he can take out enemies from afar, though there's a bit of a load time in between shots, unless you get that bandana special move in which he's just starts shooting them up. That's pretty fun. And Hachi, a big walking mech. When I saw the trailer, I was like, walking mech, that's strange. But folks, it's not just a walking mech. It's a corgi in a walking mech. He's a puppy. A puppy! Gypsy could be in Bloodstained. She casts spells. It makes sense. Danger, well. But aside the fact that he's a dog, and you know, maths still applies. He was actually one of my favorites. You know, clothy, grumpy Gandalf from Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1? He had that move where a protective barrier goes around him, and I just kind of kept him for that always. But now Super Mech Puppy has a move where he becomes invincible, and that's pretty advantageous. He also floats, which are some of the, all right, the controls. The controls are top notch and what you would expect from a not Castlevania 3 throwback type game. But when you jump, you hold jump down and Super Mech Puppy floats, which means sometimes you're gonna float and you're not gonna mean to float. Other times you're gonna mean to float and you don't float and you just, point is, a couple of pits happen. Kinda gets annoying at first, but you get the controls down and it ceases to be a problem at a point. You may notice I'm playing on casual mode. Yet, my casual ass, I'm playing on baby diaper mode. One of the perks of going casual mode is when you thread that needle and perfectly drop down a series of pits and you die. Twice. Oh, you can just drop the rest of your crew down a pit and alright, continue. Infinite lives, you're at the checkpoint. Yeah, it feels like cheating. But it is so much fun, and like Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, this game does draw out the runtime by making you go through the game 3 times or so. The logistics of why and how it's executed are different from Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, but still, it's the same kind of concept. However, like with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, when you go through, you have characters in the early levels you didn't initially have, so you find secret paths, alternate routes, so the levels do feel different, though it's a level you're now playing for the 3rd time. But the thing is, it never bothers me. That would feel repetitive for any other game, but it's just Bloodstained keeps it in the pocket. I never felt like, oh, I gotta go through the level again. I was always pumped at the opportunity to go through the level again, perfect my craft, memorize the level. I get a kick out of that with retro games, or games that throw back to retro games. I like going through the level so many times that I just know every nook and cranny of the level. How else are you gonna find those good farming spots? A good farm spot is a tradition among retro video games, as well as I would argue a necessary element in the in-game economy. And through your 2nd playthrough and then 3rd playthrough, the bosses sequentially get harder and harder. Like the first time you come up against some of these bosses, you're like, all right, I'll go toe to toe, and I'm just banking on the fact that I'm gonna hit them harder than they hit me, and I won't die before they die. Like, they're gonna die first, and you're just placing your bets on that. A couple of scenarios come down to that, and that may be true for the first time you fight some of these bosses. But by the second, definitely the third time, you can't do that anymore. You need to learn the boss's patterns. They hit harder, their moves take up more of the screen, they're faster. You can't just go toe to toe. You need to master this shit. And that feels so good when a boss just cleans you the fuck out, and you're like, there's no way I can do this with what I have. But you keep trying and you learn it, and then you just beat his ass because you know his pattern. You get hit maybe a couple times. That's an amazing feeling, and Bloodstained just, it always gives me that. And I will say, by the third playthrough that this game makes you do, it is a continual story, like with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, though you're going through the game for the third time, it's all part of the same story. And by that third time, it's pretty epic. The story itself is just an epic one, to the point where it's like, I gotta watch spoilers in this 8-bit game that's a throwback to retro games. Point is, I'm invested, you know? I'm invested with the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon series every bit as much as I am with the Ritual of the Night. Well, I guess I can't call it a series. Ritual of the Night has one game, but I imagine they'll make a sequel, and I would love to see a third Curse of the Moon game. In fact, I enjoy Bloodstained Curse of the Moon so much that with the first game, I got it for Switch because that was my Kickstarter. My Kickstarter tier that I donated to, you got to pick your system, I picked Switch. And it's a great game to play on the Switch. And after I sniffed around every corner of that game and maxed it out, I then got the physical collector's edition on PS Vita. And I did the same thing with that. It also has a soundtrack. Oh, yeah, soundtrack. Again, with the masterfully constructed, catchy-ass music. I feel like with Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 1, there are 3 tracks I can think of that are just top tier. I can't think of any tracks in Curse of the Moon 2 that are as good as the 3 tracks I'm thinking of with Curse of the Moon 1. It might be nostalgia at that point because I had that soundtrack in my car for months. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the music grows on me as time goes on. Actually, that's one of the downsides. It's one of the big tragedies of Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Curse of the Moon 1 on the PS Vita, it's such a perfect PS Vita game. It's an amazing way to play it, you know? You're wherever you are, I got time to kill. Let me play Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. It's a great portable system game. I know Switch is portable, but I mean, portable's subjective at this point. You can't just put a Switch in your pocket. And Curse of the Moon 2 is not gonna come out for Vita. If Limited Run Games wants to make a special exception when they inevitably come out with the physical copies, I wouldn't hate a PS Vita version. Just saying. Totally not gonna happen. A man can dream. So Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, it's epic. It's an amazing game. It's a great throwback, but it's not a throwaway. They could have just, you know, half-assed this retro game and like, all right, well, that'll appease fans. Nah, a lot of care was taken with this. You just feel like they put everything into this game and they made a proper sequel. It's a $15 game, and I keep that in mind when I'm rating these things up, which means I'm putting more thought into my rating system, which is the conceptual antithesis to the reason I created my rating system. Point is, for $15, this is some of the best $15 you're gonna spend. Like, this isn't even sale price $15. It's just out the gate $15. I've gotten more than $15 worth of enjoyment out of it. I love Bloodstained. I love Ritual of the Night. I love Curse of the Moon. I love Curse of the Moon 2. If they can keep going, give me a Curse of the Moon trilogy, I'll take that too. I still got 3 trophies to get before I get my platinum in Curse of the Moon 2. So I feel like that was more of a flex than information. One of those trophies is going to be really hard. There are throwback games that are throwback games, and you just kind of see them as such. I don't even see Bloodstained as a throwback game. I see it as they're Castlevania games to me. Same universe, Dracula's dead, and now we're dealing with these threats. That's just how I see it. Is it worth buying at full price? Absolutely. But for $15, that ain't saying much. Because Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 is awesome-tacular. And now I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video. This video is brought to you by Raycon. Raycon earbuds are the slick, stylish, true wireless earbuds that start at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and they give you that sexy sound. Their everyday E25 earbuds offer 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise isolating fit. And as variety is the spice of life, as always, they come in a variety of fun colors. They're stylish and discreet, no dangling wires or stems. See, they're in right now and I'm talking normal, I'm not even shouting. Everybody who wears earbuds and talks ever. So they're great for working out, they're great for just relaxing, listening to music, they're great for putting in your ears, sitting in the dark, listening to music that reminds you of your childhood so you can try to escape and forget about the dumpster fire that is the year 2020. Yeah, they're great for that too. So click the link below to go to buyraycon.com/Johns to get 15% off your order, and thank you once again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. As always, I do appreciate it. All right, so Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. Have you played it? Have you played the first one? Have you played Ritual of the Night? We'll do a whole Bloodstained questionnaire here. But whatever you think of them, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.